When I graduated from university, I thought my life would be full of excitement. I believed my first job would be fun and full of big adventures. But things didn't go as planned. Instead, I found myself stuck in a boring job, doing tasks that made me feel like a robot. But little did I know this boring beginning was only the start of a much bigger, unexpected journey. This is the story of how I went from sitting in a silent office to working on my dream projects and even becoming a little bit famous along the way. Chapter 1: The Job That Wasn't What I Expected. On my first day, I woke up early, feeling excited and nervous. I dressed nicely, grabbed my bag, and smiled all the way to work. I imagined myself doing cool things, working on big projects, sharing ideas in meetings, and learning new skills every day. But as soon as I walked into the office, I started to feel different. The building was quiet. Too quiet. No music. No laughter. Just the sound of typing and phones ringing. Everyone was sitting at their desks, staring at their screens. No one looked up when I walked in. A lady from HR gave me a quick tour. She showed me where the bathroom was, where the coffee machine was, and then pointed to my desk. "This is your spot." "Welcome," she said with a fake smile and walked away. I sat down and looked around. No one said hi. My coworkers didn't smile or talk. They didn't even notice I was new. I tried to say hello to the person next to me, but he just nodded and put his headphones on. The computer was slow. The air felt cold. There were no windows near my desk, just gray walls and bright lights that hurt my eyes. My chair squeaked every time I moved. Then my boss came by. He didn't introduce himself. He didn't ask how I was. He just handed me a thick file and said, "I need this done by 2 p.m. Read the instructions." That was it. No training. No welcome meeting. Just work, right away. Every day after that was the same. Long hours of typing, clicking, and copying data from one file to another. I had to write emails that sounded professional, even though they made no sense. I sat in boring meetings where people talked and talked, but nothing ever changed. My boss never said good job. He only spoke to tell me I was too slow or that I made a small mistake. He looked stressed all the time, and he made everyone else feel stressed too. Some coworkers were friendly, but most didn't talk much. They looked tired, like they were just waiting for the day to end. People rarely smiled. The only time the office got loud was when someone's phone rang, or when the boss was angry. Lunchtime was the only break, but even that wasn't fun. Everyone ate at their desks. I tried sitting in the break room once, but no one joined me. I ended up scrolling through my phone and eating alone. At 5 p.m., I packed my things and walked out, feeling more tired than I ever did at school. I thought work would feel like a big step forward, but it felt more like a big mistake. After a few weeks, I started asking myself the same question every morning: do I really want to do this for the rest of my life? Chapter 2: A New Spark. One evening, after another boring day at work, I came home, dropped my bag on the floor, and just flopped onto my bed like a tired potato. My brain felt fried. My eyes were dry from staring at a screen all day. My back hurt from sitting for 8 hours in that squeaky chair. I opened my laptop, not to work but just to feel like myself again. I thought, if I don't laugh or do something fun, I might explode. So, I opened a blank page and started typing. I wrote about my day, but in a funny way. I wrote about my desk that felt like a prison cell, my boss who spoke like a robot, and the office coffee that tasted like sadness. I made jokes about the weird guy who always microwaved fish at lunch, and the lady who printed 200 pages and forgot to pick them up. I laughed while writing. For the first time in weeks, I actually felt better. I gave the post a silly title like Surviving the Office Jungle, Day 17, and uploaded it to a blog I had created months ago but never used. I didn't think anyone would see it. I just wanted to let it out. But something strange happened. The next morning, I checked the blog out of curiosity. 10 people had read it. 3 people had left comments. One said, "This is so true." Another said, "OMG, I thought I was the only one who felt like this." And that's when it hit me I wasn't alone. So I wrote again that night. This time, I added drawings, little stick figure cartoons of my coworkers and my emotions at work. I made a boredom level meter and ranked my day on it. I added tips like, how to pretend you're working when you're not. And, top 5 things more fun than our team meeting, like watching paint dry. People started sharing my posts. Friends messaged me saying, "I read your blog at work and had to cover my mouth so I wouldn't laugh out loud." It felt amazing. Not just the likes and comments, but knowing that people got it. They understood me. They were also bored, stressed, and just trying to survive their 9-to-5 jobs. So I kept writing every night after work. My blog became my escape. My little light in a dark, gray office world. It gave me energy, hope, and something to look forward to. And I started thinking, what if this could be something more? Chapter 3: A Strange Message. One night, I posted a new blog called, "Why My Office Chair is Slowly Trying to Kill Me." It was funny, dramatic, and way too real. I joked about how the chair made my back hurt more than a weekend with no Wi-Fi. I added a drawing of me turning into a pancake at my desk. People loved it. Comments were popping up like popcorn. Then something weird happened. I got a message in my inbox from someone I didn't know. At first, I thought it was spam or a robot offering me free sunglasses again. But this one looked different. It said, "Subject, we love your blog." Message, "Hi. We've been reading your blog and laughing like crazy. We're starting a small media company, videos, podcasts, blogs, fun stuff. Would you like to write something for us? Maybe even be part of our team? Let us know if you're interested. The Good Vibes Team." I blinked. Then I read it again. Then I whispered, "No way," and fell off my bed. Someone actually wanted to work with me? Me? The tired office potato? The person who wrote jokes about copy machines? I didn't answer right away. First, I checked if the company was real. It was. They had a cool Instagram page, a few funny YouTube videos, and they even had merch like t-shirts that said things like "Work hard, nap harder." These people seemed fun. Like, really fun. So, I replied nervously, "Hi Good Vibes Team, thanks so much. I'd love to try writing something for you. Let me know what you need." 10 minutes later, they wrote back, "Awesome. Let's Zoom." And just like that, things started to change. We had a video call the next day. I was sweating. I had fixed my hair but wore pajama pants, classic Zoom style. On the call were 3 smiling faces, one of them holding a giant cup of bubble tea. They were young, excited, and full of ideas. They said things like, "We want real voices, not corporate blah blah. People need to laugh more. Let's make something that actually makes people happy. I couldn't stop smiling. They asked me to write a short funny article for their website. I did. They loved it. Then they asked, "Want to try helping us with a video next?" And I thought, why not? So, after work, I started writing for them in the evenings. Just one article, then two, then three. I helped with scripts, video ideas, and even recorded a voiceover while hiding in my closet to get perfect sound. It was fun. It was weird. It was me. And most of all, it was the first time in a long time that I felt excited about something again. Chapter 4, Double Life. So there I was, an ordinary office worker by day, and a creative content ninja by night. Every morning, I dragged myself out of bed, put on my I'm fine face, and went to the same gray office. I sat in the same squeaky chair. I typed emails that sounded like they were written by a robot from 1999. I nodded in meetings while thinking about snacks. Then, after work, everything changed. I rushed home, threw on comfy clothes, and opened my laptop like I was opening a secret portal. My whole mood would flip. From bored office me to creative super me. I'd chat with the Good Vibes team. We'd laugh, plan funny videos, share silly ideas, and sometimes talk for hours about things like what if office supplies could talk? Or let's make a series called The Sad Sandwich Diaries. Yes, we actually did that. My brain was finally awake. But living a double life wasn't easy. I was tired, like, really tired. Some nights, I fell asleep with my laptop still open. I once spilled noodles on my keyboard while editing a script RIP, spacebar. My inboxes were full. My calendar was chaos. I had sticky notes everywhere. At the office, it got harder to focus. I kept sneaking glances at my phone, checking messages from the media team. I'd be in a meeting about boring spreadsheets, but my brain would be writing jokes for a video about office zombies. One time, I laughed out loud at a message during a super serious team meeting. Everyone looked at me. I pretended to cough. Sorry, something stuck in my throat. Definitely not a meme. Still, I couldn't stop. I didn't want to stop. For the first time, I felt like I was building something that was mine. People were reading, watching, and sharing. We got messages like, "This made my whole day better." I showed this to my coworkers and we laughed so hard. "Thank you for making the office feel less lonely." And every time I saw those messages, I thought, this is what I was meant to do. But there was a problem. The more I worked with the media team, the more I struggled with my day job. My boss noticed I seemed distracted. My reports were late. I stopped pretending to care about monthly goals. At lunch, instead of eating, I was editing videos. During breaks, I was answering blog comments. I was living two lives, but one of them was starting to feel fake. The real me, the funny, loud, creative me, was only coming out after 6 p.m. I started asking myself a big question. What if I stopped living a double life, and just chose the one I loved? Chapter 5, Taking the Leap. Something inside me had changed. Every day I sat at my office desk, staring at spreadsheets or answering emails that didn't matter to me. I wore the same tired smile, drank the same weak coffee, and counted the hours until I could go home. My heart wasn't in it. My mind was somewhere else. It was with my blog. It was with the Good Vibes team. It was with the version of me that laughed, created, and felt alive. One evening, after another long, lifeless workday, I sat in my room, staring at my laptop screen. I had a choice to make. Keep living a safe, predictable life, or take the risk I'd been dreaming about. My heart was loud, it's time. The next morning, I walked into the office with a strange calmness. I didn't rehearse a speech. I didn't overthink it. I just walked up to my boss and said, "I've decided to resign." He raised an eyebrow. "Really? Are you sure?" I nodded. "I want to try something different. Something creative. I want to do work that makes me excited to wake up." He didn't argue. He simply said, "Good luck." That was it. No big drama. No fireworks. Just quiet freedom. Walking out of that building felt like walking out of a cage. The air felt lighter. The world looked brighter. I wasn't completely fearless. I had doubts. What if this was a mistake? What if I ran out of money? What if nobody cared about my blog anymore? But I reminded myself, I didn't leave because I was certain. I left because I was done settling. The days that followed were messy but beautiful. I made my own schedule. I stayed up late working on ideas I loved. I helped the team with videos and creative projects. I laughed more. I breathed deeper. Some days were hard. I worried. But other days, I felt unstoppable. And then, something amazing happened. One of my blog posts exploded online. Thousands of people read it, shared it, commented on it. People were connecting with my words. Strangers wrote to me, saying things like, "You made my day. This is exactly how I feel at my job. Please keep writing." It was more than likes or clicks, it was real connection. That moment reminded me why I jumped in the first place. Not for fame. Not for money. But to feel alive. And now, I finally did. The leap was scary. But it was worth it. It was mine. And this? This was just the beginning. Chapter 6, The New Life Begins. Life felt completely different now. I didn't wake up dreading the day anymore. I didn't have to sit in a stiff office chair or pretend to be busy during boring meetings. There was no boss looking over my shoulder, no cold fluorescent lights buzzing above my head. Instead, I woke up with ideas. Some days, I felt full of energy. Other days, I worked slowly, letting inspiration come when it wanted. I was learning how to listen to myself, not just follow a schedule. It was strange, freeing, and kind of magical. The pressure of the office was gone, but a new kind of pressure had taken its place, myself. Now I had to show up because I wanted to, not because someone told me to. And weirdly, that made me work even harder. There were challenges, of course. I didn't always know what I was doing. Some blog posts got almost no attention. A few videos flopped completely. Some days, I worried the magic was already fading. But I didn't give up. Because every message from a reader, every laugh from a teammate, every new idea reminded me I was finally doing something real. Then something incredible happened. A popular creator online, someone I had followed for years, shared one of my blog posts. Suddenly, my website traffic spiked. People started commenting, sharing, quoting my jokes, even tagging their friends. My inbox was full of messages like, "I've never related to something so much. This made me laugh and cry. Please write a book." It didn't feel real. But it was real. And it changed everything. More opportunities came rolling in. A podcast wanted me as a guest. A lifestyle magazine asked me to write a funny article about work-life balance. A small company wanted me to help write content for their brand. Even a school asked if I could talk to students about finding your creative voice. Each offer felt like a small light turning on in the distance. And with each yes, the path in front of me became a little clearer. But the best part wasn't the new projects or the attention. The best part was me. I felt more confident. I smiled more. I had time for friends, for family, for rest. I was no longer pretending to be someone else just to survive a job. I was finally being myself, full-time. The new life had officially begun. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't always easy. But it was mine and it was growing. And deep down, I knew something else. This was only the beginning of something much, much bigger. Chapter 7, Something Unexpected. Things were finally feeling good. I had my freedom, my blog was growing, and new projects kept popping up like magic. Every day felt like a small adventure, not always easy, but exciting. I was finally doing what I loved, and people were noticing. Then one day, an email landed in my inbox. At first, I almost ignored it. The subject line just said, "Hello from someone unexpected." Curious, I opened it. And I stared. It was from my old boss. I hadn't thought about him in a while. The cold office. The awkward meetings. The forced smiles. That part of my life felt like it belonged in another world. But there he was, in my inbox, writing, "Hey, I've been reading your blog lately. I had no idea you were this talented." Wait, what? Then he continued, "Some people here are fans now. We share your stories in our team chat. A few of your posts really made us laugh, even the ones that kind of roast office life, ouch, but fair. I wanted to ask something unusual. Would you ever consider doing a creative workshop with our team? To help us bring more energy into the workplace?" I sat there for a minute, reading it again. Was this real? The same guy who barely noticed me at work now wanted my help. Not as an employee but as a creative? It was wild. Unexpected. Strangely funny. And kind of, full circle. I didn't say yes right away. I needed time to think. Part of me didn't want to go back there even for one day. But another part of me thought, what if this is a chance to show who I really am now? What if this is my story turning the page? So I replied, "Hi, thank you for the kind words." That honestly surprised me in a good way. I'm open to chatting more about it. A week later, I was back in the same office building, but this time as a guest, not an employee. People looked at me differently. They smiled. They asked questions. They laughed at my stories. I wasn't just the quiet person from the desk in the corner anymore. I was the creative one, the one who followed their dream. That visit made something clear to me: you never know who's watching. The people who used to ignore your work might become your biggest fans. The boring job you once escaped might lead you to an unexpected door. The no you said back then might turn into a yes later, on your terms. Life doesn't move in straight lines. It twists. It surprises. And sometimes, the unexpected turns out to be exactly what you need. Chapter 8, Going Viral. I never imagined it would happen like this. A random post. A silly idea. And suddenly, my life was spinning faster than I could catch up. It all started when I wrote a blog post about something that seemed small at the time. It was a funny story about my old office, how I used to sneak breaks by hiding in the supply closet, and how my serious boss actually had a secret love for cheesy 80s music. It was nothing groundbreaking, just me being me, funny, honest, and a little weird. I hit publish and went about my day. Then the notifications started. First, just a few likes. Then a couple of comments. But by afternoon, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. The post was blowing up. People were sharing it, tagging their friends, reposting it. I watched the numbers climb like they were on a roller coaster, and I couldn't do anything but hang on. I kept checking my website stats. In 1 hour, the views went from hundreds to thousands. In 2 hours, it was tens of thousands. By the end of the day, it had over 100,000 views. What was happening? It wasn't just friends or family reading it anymore. Strangers from all over the world were commenting. People were tagging their coworkers. One person wrote, "This is exactly what my office feels like. You should be writing for us." And that's when it hit me, I had gone viral. I was getting messages from people in different countries. People were sending me fan art. Companies wanted to hire me for collaborations. Others asked if they could share my post on their own platforms. It was crazy. It was overwhelming. It was exactly what I had been working for, but it also felt unreal. For a moment, I panicked. Could I keep this up? Could I continue writing funny stories and making people laugh? Was this just a fluke, or was this my real chance? The next day, I woke up and stared at my phone. It was full of messages. People I didn't know wanted to collaborate. Others wanted to know if I could write for their brands. Some just wanted to say thanks for making their day better. I felt proud. But I also felt scared. The first thing I did was call the Good Vibes team. "We need to make a plan," I said. "We're not just a blog anymore. We're something bigger." I spent hours planning new ideas, brainstorming with the team, and thinking about where I wanted to take my platform. I wanted to keep it fun, but now it felt like it could actually go somewhere. Suddenly, my creative life wasn't just a dream anymore. It was a real opportunity, one that I couldn't let slip away. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. I went from writing one blog post a week to creating content almost every day. We launched new projects, filmed funny videos, and started reaching new audiences. But with success came pressure. More emails. More requests. More deadlines. It was exciting but exhausting. Still, I couldn't help but smile every time I thought about how far I'd come. From a job I hated, to chasing my dreams, to this my blog going viral. It felt like a dream. But it was real. Chapter 9: The Pressure Builds. It felt like everything was happening all at once. One moment, I was writing a blog post in my pajamas. The next, I was setting up interviews, recording podcasts, and figuring out brand deals. My phone buzzed nonstop. I couldn't scroll through my emails without seeing new requests from companies, followers, or fans. At first, it was exciting. I was getting recognition, making connections, and getting paid to do what I loved. But soon, the fun side started to feel like a lot. The pressure started small at first. One day, I had to write 3 blog posts in one afternoon. The next, I had an interview and a meeting with a brand. Then there were deadlines for video scripts, social media posts, and new project ideas. I wanted to keep everything perfect, to keep my blog funny, fresh, and real. But the more I worked, the less fun it felt. I was running on caffeine and deadlines. The creative spark I once had was starting to fade. At first, I ignored it. Keep going, I told myself. You can do this. Just push through. But it wasn't working. I was stressed, tired, and felt like I was always chasing the next thing. I missed the days when I wrote just for fun, when it didn't matter how many likes or shares I got. The pressure was building, and it was hard to keep up. Then came the first big mistake. I rushed through a video idea because I was too tired to think clearly. It was sloppy. I missed some details. I posted it anyway, hoping it would be fine. But it wasn't fine. The feedback was quick, and not all of it was kind. Some people didn't like it. Some said it wasn't funny. I felt the sting. For the first time in a long time, I doubted myself. Was I losing what made me special? Was I too focused on the business side of things and forgetting the reason I started? I sat at my desk late that night, staring at the screen. The constant buzz of messages and notifications only made me feel more disconnected from the work I once loved. Everything felt like a race. A competition. A constant climb to keep up. But then I remembered something. I remembered why I started this. It wasn't for the fame. It wasn't for the money. It was because I wanted to create something that felt true. Something that made people laugh, and helped them feel less alone. The next morning, I made a choice. I needed to slow down. I took a deep breath and told myself, it's okay to take a step back. I didn't cancel everything, but I decided to take a break from the pressure. I spent an afternoon walking outside, clearing my mind, and thinking about my next move. By the end of the week, I was feeling a little lighter. I started writing again, no deadlines, no pressure. Just me, my thoughts, and my keyboard. The next blog post I wrote came out of that peaceful space. It was raw, honest, and funny like the old ones. The ones I loved. The ones that made people laugh because they were real. It wasn't perfect, but that's what made it special. I sent it out into the world. And this time, the feedback was different. People were happy. People could feel the difference. And so could I. The pressure didn't go away. But now, I knew how to manage it. I could take the work seriously, but not let it steal the joy from why I was doing it in the first place. I wasn't just creating content anymore. I was building a life. And that was worth the effort. Chapter 10: Finding Balance. After everything started moving so fast, I realized something important. I needed balance. I couldn't keep pushing myself nonstop. I couldn't live in a constant state of hustle without burning out. I had learned that lesson the hard way. The first thing I did was set boundaries. I blocked out time each day just for myself, no emails, no phone calls, no work. Just me, my thoughts, and whatever I wanted to do. It felt strange at first, to step away from the chaos, but it was exactly what I needed. I also started to say no more often. It wasn't easy at first, especially when new opportunities kept popping up. People were asking for collaborations, interviews, and partnerships. I wanted to say yes to everything, but I knew that would drain me. So I became selective. I focused on the projects I truly cared about. The ones that felt exciting. The ones that aligned with my values and passions. and I turned down the ones that didn't. One of the best decisions I made was to spend more time with the Good Vibes team. We didn't just talk about work. We talked about life, shared jokes, and supported each other. We made time for fun even in the middle of busy weeks. That sense of community helped remind me why I was doing this in the first place. It wasn't just about numbers or fame. It was about creating something real with people who believed in the same vision. Of course, I couldn't ignore the business side of things forever. As my blog and brand grew, I needed to plan and organize more carefully. I hired a part-time assistant to help with admin tasks. That gave me more time to focus on content and creative ideas. I also set up a schedule that worked for me. Some days, I wrote all day. Other days, I recorded videos or went for long walks to clear my head. Some days, I simply rested. It wasn't about working harder. It was about working smarter. It was about knowing when to push and when to step back. And the best part? I started to enjoy it all again. I found that I could still push boundaries, but without losing myself in the process. I learned to trust my instincts and let go of the need for perfection. I was finally creating with joy, not pressure. As I sat down one night to write, I thought about how far I'd come. From that first job I hated, to the uncertainty of quitting, to the excitement of going viral, to this moment of balance. It hadn't been easy, but it had been worth it. I didn't have all the answers, but I had something more important: peace. With balance came clarity. I was ready to take my creativity even further. I knew the road wouldn't always be smooth, but I was okay with that. Because now, I knew how to find my rhythm even in the chaos. Chapter 11: The Road Ahead. It felt like the beginning of something bigger. I had found my balance, built something real, and now, I was ready to take the next step. The road ahead wasn't clear, but that was okay. I didn't need a perfect plan. I just needed to keep moving forward. My blog had become more than just a hobby. It had become a part of my identity. A space where I could be creative, honest, and connect with people who understood what I was about. But even though I was proud of what I had built, I knew I wasn't done. I wanted to keep growing. I wanted to keep evolving. The first thing I decided to do was take on new challenges. I wasn't going to just stay in my comfort zone. I wanted to try new things, push myself beyond what I thought was possible. I started thinking about different ways to expand my creativity. Maybe I could write a book. Maybe I could create an online course to help others find their creative voice. Maybe I could travel and make videos about it. The ideas were endless. And for the first time in a long time, I felt excited about them all. But the road ahead wasn't just about new projects. It was also about growth as a person. I realized I had spent so much time focusing on my career that I had forgotten about other areas of my life. What about relationships? What about taking care of myself? What about living fully in the present? So, I decided to take some time off to travel, to recharge, and to reconnect with the people who meant the most to me. I spent time with my family, hung out with old friends, and explored new places. It was refreshing. It reminded me that the journey was about more than just work, it was about life, too. As I traveled, I met people who were on their own journeys. Some had quit their jobs to pursue their passions, others were just starting out, and a few were still figuring it all out. I realized something important: everyone's journey is different. There's no one-size-fits-all path to success. And that was the beauty of it. One evening, while sitting on a beach in a quiet corner of the world, I thought about all the unexpected things that had led me here. If I hadn't quit that job, if I hadn't started that blog, if I hadn't taken that first leap, none of this would have happened. But more than that, I thought about the future. What else could I accomplish? What else could I create? What other dreams could I chase? The answer? A lot. The road ahead wasn't going to be easy. There would still be challenges, moments of doubt, and even setbacks. But I knew I had everything I needed to face them. The strength, the confidence, the support of the Good Vibes team, and a passion for creativity that would never burn out. So, I took a deep breath, smiled at the horizon, and knew that whatever came next, I was ready. The road ahead was mine to shape. And I couldn't wait to see where it would take me. Chapter 12, The Dream Realized. It wasn't just a blog anymore. It wasn't just a hobby or a side project. It had become a movement. I had worked hard to get here, and the journey wasn't always easy, but looking back, I realized something incredible. Everything I had done, all the late nights, the doubts, the viral moments, the balance struggles had led me to this point. The dream wasn't just about being famous or getting recognition. The dream was about making a difference, about sharing my story, my creativity, and my experiences with the world. And now, I could see how much it had all paid off. It all started with that viral blog post, but the ripple effect was beyond anything I had ever imagined. People were following my journey. They were engaging with my content, sharing their stories with me, and joining the Good Vibes team. We had built a community that was not just about creating content, but about inspiring others to chase their dreams, too. I'd received messages from people who had taken the leap and started their own creative businesses, from students who were finally pursuing what they loved, and from people who simply felt seen because my words had resonated with them. It felt unreal. Then came the big moment, the one I had been working toward without fully realizing it. I was offered a book deal. A publisher had reached out. They wanted to turn my blog into a book. A real, physical book that people could hold, read, and pass along. I could hardly believe it. The dream was becoming more tangible. More real. The process of writing the book was intense but fulfilling. It wasn't just about expanding on my blog posts. It was about crafting a deeper, more personal story. I shared stories of my struggles, my growth, and the lessons I had learned along the way. It felt like a part of me was being poured into the pages, and I couldn't wait to share it with the world. But it wasn't just about the book. I had started traveling more, visiting new places, meeting new people, and documenting it all. People were responding to my adventures, to the behind-the-scenes moments, and to the stories I told through my videos and photos. I had built a platform that was growing in ways I hadn't imagined. The Good Vibes team was stronger than ever, and we had our first major collaboration with a well-known brand. It felt like a full-circle moment, but one that was just the beginning. The dream had evolved into something more than I had ever expected. It wasn't about just chasing success or fame. It was about creating a meaningful impact, about helping others see that following their passion, even in small ways, could lead to something extraordinary. As I sat back one evening, holding the first copy of my book in my hands, I realized that all the years of hard work, sacrifice, and uncertainty had brought me to this point. It was no longer a dream, it was my reality. And it felt incredible. But even more incredible was the thought that the road wasn't over. It was just beginning. The world was full of possibilities. New projects. New people. New ways to create, inspire, and grow. I thought about all the steps I had taken, the decisions, the risks, the quiet moments of doubt, and I realized something important. The dream was never just about the destination. It was always about the journey. And as I looked ahead, I knew there were even bigger dreams waiting to be realized. The story wasn't finished. It was only just starting. This was the dream realized. But it was only the beginning. As I look back on everything that's happened, I can hardly believe how far I've come. From that first job I hated, to the late-night blog posts, to going viral, to writing a book. It's been a wild ride. But more than the milestones, it's the personal growth I'm most proud of. When I started, I didn't know where I was headed. I didn't know if my blog would take off or if I'd ever be able to live my dreams. But step by step, I took risks, made mistakes, learned from them, and kept pushing forward. Every moment, good or bad, led me to this place. The one thing I've learned through it all is this: dreams don't always happen the way we expect them to, but that's what makes them beautiful. They evolve, change, and grow, just like we do. Sometimes, the hardest parts of the journey turn out to be the most valuable lessons. And now, I see the possibilities in every step ahead. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. But now, I have a clearer vision of who I am and what I want to do next. The dream is no longer a distant goal. It's my reality, and every new chapter, every new challenge, feels like an opportunity to build something even bigger than before. So, as I sit here, thinking about the future, I feel grateful. Grateful for the people who have supported me, the lessons I've learned, and the amazing journey that's still unfolding. The road ahead? It's full of new dreams, new adventures, and endless possibilities. And I can't wait to see where it takes me next. The story is over. Please support us by subscribing and liking to follow our channel. I hope you learned something new today. See you next time. Thanks for watching.